got started in the barbecue world years and years and years ago. I grew up in a family with brothers, no sisters. I was taught to cook, clean, sew. I was really interested in grilling, and then became the grill master in our family. One thing led to another. We got an offset smoker as a family and started smoking meats in it and really enjoyed that, and I've always had a passion for it. I asked my wife about a year and a half ago if I could change my occupation, and I've been a custom saddle maker and a leather worker and a horse breeder and trainer for 48 years, and she said, well, what do you think you're going to do? And I said, well, I'd kind of like to try barbecuing professionally. So we bought us a 15-foot reverse flow slow cooker, bought a 48.5-foot gooseneck trailer.
Jumped in with both feet.
Got it done.
All 4 feet.
All 4 feet, yeah. So we were coming down to Arizona this winter to get away from the Nebraska climate, and the people that own this property where the Ornrey Hog BarBQue pit is right now have been friends of mine forever. I went to high school here. They found out we were here and asked us to stay and open up the old Spurs Cafe and do a barbecue joint. Said they'd like to have a good barbecue joint in town. So we prayed about it for about 13 seconds and dug in. It took us 3 months to clean the joint up. Here we are today.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now here we are.
Yeah.
Having a wonderful time.
Yeah. My family moved down here when I was a junior in high school, and Dad was in the chamber office and knew a lot of people, and I like to hang around with older people, so I got to meet a lot of older people than myself, and adults, you might say. And Bob and Elaine Sanders were some of those people that I enjoyed being around, and they're the owners of this property. Bob just recently passed away, and now Elaine is our landlord, and I hope we'll be able to stay here for years and years and years to come. Our barbecue in this wood-fired pit, we don't use any gas to assist it. It's strictly hardwoods and some medium hardwoods. We use pecan and almond and oak and hickory to cook our foods. And we might try a little bit of mesquite. I know when I was a kid we used to grill with mesquite, and we used to deep pit with mesquite. But you're talking charcoals then mostly. The acrid flavor that mesquite puts in meat when you slow cook it is not good. But we do a process here of wrapping our meats after the meat has been infused with the smoke. It'll only take in so much smoke. So then we wrap all the foods, and then we can use mesquite to continue to cook the food until it's finished. And the meat wouldn't allow any smoke to come into it from the mesquite because it's wrapped. So we might do that. It's a cheaper alternative than the $600 a cord hardwood.
We can hardly wait till summer. We won't hardly have to use any wood.
Yeah, throw a stick in, get it going, and walk away, set it and forget it, you know. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well, we typically cook pork and beef. The brisket is beef brisket, and it's slow cooked for 18 hours. We let it rest for 2 to 3 hours. And then the rest of the foods are pork. We have a sausage made up in Peoria by a really great sausage company. And we offer pork ribs and Boston butts, or
Shoulder.
top shoulder. What else do they call it?
Pork butt.
Pork butt. It's actually the top muscle that lays up on top of the shoulder of a pig that allows it to have a lot of strength in there. But it's interesting, the difference between grilling and barbecuing, and people who grill and or barbecue or do both understand the difference. But for people that don't understand the difference, grilling is a application of heat onto meat, and it can come through several sources. It can come from a gas-fired cooker, or it can come from a charcoal-fired cooker. And it's typically a direct heat source, so you place your meat right above the heat. So it's called direct heat. That's grilling. Barbecuing is a process that is referred to as the oldest method of cooking. You take any cut of meat and you cook it indirectly over heat at a very low temperature for a long time. And for example, brisket is probably one of the worst cuts of meat there is on a cow. But cooked properly and with the fat seams rendered down into gelatin, it can become one of the most savory cuts of meat there is. People that typically enjoy a really nice brisket would rather have brisket over the finest T-bone or the roast combinations that you can come up with. There's just not another cut of meat that renders down and has the flavor that the muscle in the brisket does. And brisket lovers cherish their brisket. They won't have anything else. You can tempt them all you want, but if you've got good brisket, that's what they're going to eat. And we have people come in time and time again for the brisket. Brisket is best when it's ready to be eaten. So we stage our cook of brisket and ribs and pork butts for pulled pork sandwiches so that every couple of hours there's fresh food coming off of that cooker. We don't sit on it all day. So what we serve up this morning is not what's going to be fed tonight. Barbecue has to be eaten when it's ready to be eaten.
That's when it's best.
That's when
it's
it's
good
best.
leftover,
That's
but
good
it's best when it's ready.
We had a couple come in and they ordered the combo, which is a huge plate of barbecue. And they called the next day and said, "Man, was that good yesterday. And I think it was even better this morning." And they called the next day and said, "You know what? That was absolutely the best leftovers for dinner we've ever had." God, you people really stretch your leftovers, don't you? Yeah. So it's fun. It's fun to be back in Wickenburg. I came in the 80s, worked over at Remuda Ranch for a while, and then left. We came back in November to do the Bluegrass Festival. And the response to our food at the Bluegrass Festival was exactly what we wanted it to be. People were overwhelmed about the flavor of the barbecue. Many barbecue joints around the world have gotten away from wood-fired barbecuers because of the pollution factor. So they've been forced by governments, local governments, to use a gas-fired cooker. And with either gas and or propane, there's a distinct flavor that's introduced into the meat that you don't get with all natural wood. So as long as we can possibly use all wood-fired cookers, that's what we'll do, because it actually produces the best barbecue that you can have. So they're labor intensive. Our big cooker is designed to be full all the time of meat. In the process of barbecuing, there's a position in the cook called the stall. And this stall is created by the pressure inside the chamber, the cook chamber. As meat cooks and it heats up, the muscles tighten up and the moisture inside the meat is emitted, and this is the cooking process. But you also want moisture to go back into the meat as the moisture inside the meat comes out, so you're just kind of doing this transfer. And the stall, depending on how much meat you have, how big of a chamber you have, can last up to 3 hours. And what happens during the stall is the humidity inside your container and the humidity in your meats kind of equalize out. One's not being able to force the other one out. One's not coming out to draw the other one in. They just kind of reach a stalemate. It's called the stall. And food items quit cooking during the stall. And I've had people call me up and say, "Man, my brisket's been in there for 9 hours and it's just staying at 170 degrees. And I said, "Just wait another hour, it'll change. Don't do anything, don't lift it up, don't look at it, just leave it alone." And sure enough, they'll call back and go, "Wow, man, I was about ready to start cutting it up and eating it." And I said, "Well, it ain't ready to eat. You got to get through the stall." So when we designed this cooker, we had in mind that we were going to do big venues. Big craft fairs, county fairs, state fairs, bluegrass festivals. I love bluegrass festivals. So it's designed to hold a lot of meat. There's 75 square feet of cooking space in this thing in 3 separate chambers. And when you load the thing up with meat, the stall can be very interrupting to your cooking process if you're not set up for it, because it can last up to 3 hours when the thing's full. So you've got to keep your fire going, you got to keep your temperature constant, you got to keep your humidity, everything's got to stay the same until this thing subsides. And what typically creates it to go out from under the stall is that the meat will eventually drop in temperature during the stall period. Because it's not cooking, it'll just drop in temperature. When it drops in temperature, it automatically starts sucking moisture in, humidity in that's inside the cooking chamber. And when that happens, that humidity is heated up. When it starts shrinking down, cooling down, something triggers the meat of the muscle and it flares back up and goes right back to cooking. So you can wait and wait and wait, and every time you open the door to look, you're losing more heat, more humidity, everything's getting out of whack. So we don't always load this big cooker up. So it's a process of knowing how much meat you've got in there, what temperature you're cooking it at, how much humidity you've got in your cooker, how much mass of humidity is going to be coming out of the meat. So when people ask me, well, what's the deal on barbecue? I say there's no magic in barbecue except the magic that it takes to do barbecue. Of course, that means nothing. And people look at me and go, what does that mean? I said, it doesn't mean anything.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. So barbecue is probably the most ancient form of cooking that there is today.
Welcome to the Ornrey Hog. We're glad to see you. Please come in.
Yeah, my spiel would be, I hope you're hungry because I've been cooking all night.
Yes.
I ain't gonna put up no light weights. Welcome to the OH.